Hey paisanos, it's me, Hamish, and welcome to another Super Mario moment. On today's episode, we're talking about Wario Land 3, which came out in the year 2000 for the GameBoy Color. It's a platform game with a little bit of a Metroid-vania element, and it is the fourth entry in the Wario Land series, if you count the Virtual Boy, which itself is a spin-off of the Mario Land series, which itself is a spin-off of the Mario Brothers series. And to talk about this game with me, I have a wonderful guest, a truly iconic artist, creator, video game designer who I've looked up to for many years. I am joined today by Samanthiel, aka Splendidland, aka Wario.
Hi.
You look amazing. I'm sad that I wasn't able to capture my completely authentic reaction because we were in the green room before and I was laughing with hysterics.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, and thank you for choosing such a wonderful game. I'm really happy that we were able to get to some of the kind of deeper cuts and spin-offs so quickly, because that's the kind of area of Mario and the Mario universe that I love.
Wario Land 3 is not just my favorite Mario game, but probably one of my favorite games just ever in general.
You know, I was playing it recently.
So I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I was playing it recently this week, and I can see the influence on your work in every corner of that game.
It has such a sense of humor to it through forming mechanics. I just really enjoy.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk about, before we get onto that, just your history with gaming and Nintendo in general, because if you have seen any of your work, any Splendidland stuff, be it artwork, pixel or otherwise, or gaming, I just think you can sort of see, at least I relate to, the same kind of generation of video games, Game Boy stuff, that I grew up with, and that's why I love it so much. So yeah, tell me about your history.
So the earliest game I just kind of ever remember seeing was my dad playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and I was so young at the time that I had no idea what it was. Some kind of cartoon that my dad was involved in somehow. I didn't really understand the idea. And in my memories, it looks completely different, even though I've played through it a lot. And, so that or something. And then a bit later, I was given Pokemon Yellow on Game Boy by my aunt for my birthday. And that's where it all started. from there, I was taken by the graphics and the adventure, I guess, and how it kind of starts. Pokemon Yellow starts, that's like my house, but I get to go outside and go to the next town and onward. And that's something that I've always really liked in games. And so my first actual, I was always kind of familiar with Mario, but I never had consoles. So I was I only played the handheld games mostly. I remember it was Mario Land 2 was the first one I played, and that was one I would have been able to talk about just as much on here, but I had to choose one.
So you mentioned the Mario Land games as well, and I know that Mega Man, and that's a big influence on you, I suppose, as well?
Yeah, definitely. I always liked the kind of all of the different characters and level themes and stuff in that. I actually play a huge amount of the games as a kid. I watched my friend play Mega Man 7 that they'd imported, and Mega Man X4, but I didn't actually play them until I started getting into emulation. Is that allowed?
Very much allowed, especially when we're dealing with the games of the company.
Anyway, I played Nintendo games, and I played all the Mega Man games as a teenager.
Something I know from your games, which we're going to talk about in a second, is you love bestiary, or anything where you can list the enemies or friends, collect monsters. What is it about that you just enjoy so much?
think a part of it is that I'm really autistic, but also I just genuinely love. I just love like learning about them and the idea that like flavor text can like give them a bit more of a sense of like an inner life. There's actually a couple of Mario enemies that always fascinated me as a kid playing Mario Land 2. I think it's like in the Pumpkin Zone, there's this vampire enemy, and there's only one of him in the entire game. It's mystified me. There's like a similar like UFO enemy in the movie as well, where it's just, and they're just like some kind of entity that lives in the world, I guess. And I don't know, I like the idea of like these little things.
Yeah, I mean, I love bestiaries and things too. I was playing Hollow Knight last week for the first time, and when I unlocked an enemy list, I like put the controller down and like had a moment of how excited I just got. And I think you've taken the concept of a bestiary or enemy list or monster list to the kind of extreme with your latest game, which I would love to talk a little bit about. I'm going to try and put some pictures on the screen for form. Oh, wrong picture. A Formless Star.
Yes, this is my latest game, which is another side project that became way more of a thing than I planned it to be. But but it is all about like finding creatures and everything.
Yeah, I loved playing it. You should definitely check it out if you're listening. It is pay what you want, and I feel it's definitely worth a few dollars of your time and your cash. I thought, again, to sort of connect it to the Wario Land games, to kind of summarize a little bit of this game, it's sort of monster collect-y, but I would say your reward isn't so much, adding to your team and battling and trading and all those other things. To me, your reward is a interaction, a funny bit of animation, and it reminds me a lot of the transformation mechanics in Wario Land, where sometimes they're useful, sometimes they're not, but every time they're very fun to look at and usually make you laugh.
Yes, it is very much inspired by like that element of Wario Land. It's a lot of the ones in this are just like kind of annoying, but they are in Wario Land as well, so it's okay. Poor little Anemo, the main character, gets set on fire and blown around and teleported all over the place in this. But
of course, this is not your only game, and not the only game that you've worked on. I believe Switch 2 owners might have already played a game that you worked on.
Maybe so. Yes, so I've done character designs for Deltarune. I made Franken RPG and Apple Quest Monsters, and a few other things I've done for other games.
I think there's a lot of retro kind of, such a broad term, but a lot of retro indie games, and I love that specifically you celebrate the kind of Game Boy Color type aesthetic, because again, that's very nostalgic to me, and it's also something that I just is kind of lost to time unless we keep it up, those kind of restrictions on colors and how much personality you can get in like a tiny little pixelated face.
Absolutely. There was a really random selection of games for my Game Boy Color. A lot of it was like hand-me-downs from like my older relatives. So I had this Looney Tunes game on Game Boy that was like had like a surprising level of like pixelate interactivity. It was Martian Alert, I believe. It has really good music. And that's like a weird like dormant influence on me, is this random Looney Tunes game that I never beat.
Those Game Boy games that you just sort of were given, or you didn't buy based on like reviews or something, can be very formative. Or like other games, like one of my favorite games of all time for the original Nintendo is the Chip and Dale game.
Yeah, because I love this one.
It took Nintendo like 20 years before you could actually like play platforming together on the same screen, and yet I had two older brothers. Chip and Dale let you do that on the original NES.
Mm.
And so, odd license games like a Looney Tunes game, like there was a time where that stuff, like, have you played? There's a great Ghostbusters, I think, 2 maybe game that's created by HAL Labs for either the NES or the Game Boy. And
I don't know if I knew this one.
yeah, there's quite a few different Ghostbusters games, but this one is just like teeming with a little bit of Kirbiness and a little bit of extra chibiness and style. And you wouldn't know necessarily when you picked up a random Ghostbusters game that it was going to be like literally slightly developed by Sakurai.
There's the only Ghostbusters game I'm really familiar with, Regions, is also a Garfield game and a Mickey Mouse game, which is for the Game Boy. It's called like Crazy. It's like a game where you're like a little guy hitting things with a hammer, and because there's not a single character in the world that hammer, they just kind of made every character this one game. It's like a whole series, and it's also been like Looney Tunes as well. But I think it's also been Godzilla. It's a really weird like little series of games.
I'll have to check it out. So let's get to talking about Wario Land 3. I'm going to put a little bit of your fan art on screen. You said that this was old, but I think it really captures the chaos of this game.
I do remember when I drew this.
Tell me a little bit about. I know that we've talked about it, its influence on you and your artwork and everything, but I asked what Mario game you wanted to cover, and you came back with Wario Land 3. So what about this stands above everything else?
I think it's just like the kind of character of the game, I suppose. It really lets you know who Wario is as like a person. It's a game where Wario will be humiliated constantly in his pursuit for treasure, and it's like mandatory. Like a lot of games have like mechanics where you like get set on fire and flattened and stuff, but that's usually just like a punishment, like playing poorly, and it's like, well, you screwed up, but here's like a little funny animation as like it's still funny to like lose, but here you have to do it and you can't lose. And I just think that's such like a fun structure for the game,
Yeah, no, that's such a funny way of thinking about it, because for those that don't know, Wario is sort of immortal in this game, and I believe in Wario Land 2 as well. But
yes,
instead of getting hurt, most enemies will transform you into something. It's kind of like Kirby rules, but whereas Kirby, I would say almost always the power-up is something extremely useful and that you want to have a power-up as much as possible. Wario Land, these aren't really power-ups as afflictions that have some uses.
They're like maladies that Wario can like make the most of, I think, because all of them are like inconvenient in some way, and they're both like every single state that Wario can be in can be used to like help and hinder him, which I find like the boss design in this is really unique because they come like the bosses are kind of like the crappiest part of this game, but I still like the like idea behind them. Where like, you'll have the first boss like hits you with a hammer and it makes you turn into Spring Wario and like get sent out of the top of the arena. But it also means that every boss like you kind of only get one chance with.
Yeah, the hardest thing about the bosses is just like staying in the room because they're constantly like kicking you out. And
yeah,
as you can see on the screen now, it's like Fire Wario is not Fire Mario, where you suddenly get the power to like shoot fire. Fire Wario is running around the screen in pain and humiliation until he burns to death and just about comes back to life. And yes, it's you use these powers to get through the game, but they aren't something you want to have all the time. And more often than not, you are, being hassled by this, or like you go, oh god, I just got set on fire again.
Yes, and you get set on fire for like a long amount of time as well. Like it is not a brief debuff. You're on fire for a little bit now. The rules are kind of always changing in that way. Like want to be on fire, and sometimes you won't. And it's, I don't know. It's just like an interesting way to like health and dying in games are just like mechanics taken for granted, right? Like just this kind of. So I've always appreciated this game for just kind of trying something different, even though it's sometimes really, really annoying.
Do you have a favorite transformation?
I really like, for some reason, just because when he turns into the bat, he's just kind of like his head with bat wings, and I think that's really funny. And also because like I think when I played it as a kid, like there's quite a long stretch of the game before you're able to become vampire. So when it finally showed up after reading about it in the instruction manual, it was like, oh yes, I'm finally this. I've made like, I must be like quite far through the game now or something. I don't know. A weird. It's just like a little one. And also like the music when you're a vampire.
Yeah, Vampire Wario is one of the ones that feels a little bit more like you are getting an upgrade, because you can fly and yeah, the music's great. But even then, I first found it in a room filled with water that turns you back. Like nothing gives you ultimate power. Most things, it just means that you're more vulnerable to stuff and you're gonna like fly around the place.
Yeah, it is a lot like that. It's just kind of like, Wario is like the strongest person in the world, but he is not dignified. He's not allowed that, and that's what I really like about the game. And generally, I also like when he gets stung and flies upwards, and annoying. There's some, I don't know what it is. I like games that are like a bit annoying. You know, I like to have a little bit of like push against me, I guess.
Yeah, it's a funny,
rather than it just being like,
yeah, it's a funny just you know, in terms of this being a Mario spin-off, it's not that it's just platform games with Wario in it. I think the first Wario Land is a little bit like that, but it has its own personality anyway. And then each step of the way, yeah, they've made him more antithetical to Mario and Mario's games each step of the way. And what I find interesting is that these were developed just by, you know, the in-house Nintendo team. This isn't a different team getting the reins and going crazy with it. It's like in-house, they know Mario should feel great, fast, can jump high, can you know, get all these power-ups and save the day. Whereas I love what you said at the start about this being a game of humiliation and determination despite it. Like his greed overcomes almost everything.
Yeah, I because it's a very good contrast between like Mario Land 2, especially. These are like my main frames of reference for this like era. The music in Mario Land 2, it's kind of got like that. It's like energetic and like playful, and makes them like skip around and have fun, really. And then Wario Land music always kind of sounds like its nose is being. How I'd best describe it. It has like a nasally kind of deranged quality to it that I really like.
That's so accurate. Yeah, and just like everything about this game, like it's impressive that it's functionally the same console as like Mario Land and Mario Land 2, because the amount of personality it like squeezes into everything, be it just like the save like screen and every little sound effect. Like there's so many sprites in the game, like, and frames. Even him climbing up a ladder has like a really satisfying butt jiggle. I kept trying to take screenshots of middle frames when he was like getting his head exploded or eating a donut or something, because each of them were funny, and I'm a big believer in, you know, funny things should look funny. It shouldn't just be the idea of being funny. It's like This is at a time where Wario, we don't have Waluigi yet, and we don't have his whole extra cast of characters, and they sometimes take a little bit of the limelight from Wario, who he's not just an evil Mario, he's like a wrong Mario. He's a funny Wario. He's Mario collects coins, Wario like hoards them, and which is funny because there's like less coins in the game than an average Mario game.
Going back a little bit, when you leave this game, if you leave him there long enough, he does have an animation where he scratches his butt, which I think is awesome. He's a freer Mario in some ways. He's not worried about what other people think.
That is true. That's true. Do you have
Waluigi is such a... I just want to talk about him briefly because I want to know more about this guy, but maybe that's what we know is all there is. He's not really interested in like adventures. He just shows up for tennis and carts.
Yes, him, Waluigi, and Princess Daisy are just like having sort of brunch together, thinking like, how easy is it for them to get kidnapped and fall out, get stuck in music boxes and fly off into space? Like, why are they like this? I do, my dream. I like the WarioWare games. I think they're very fun, but I do long for a return to the Wario Land games, or just even seeing Donkey Kong Bonanza. There's a little bit of me thinking, well, Donkey Kong is great, but Wario also likes to smash things and collect gold, and I do sort of think that like one of the like things we're still missing is a Waluigi Wario Brothers kind of experience, because
I also am, but I'm also kind of like, maybe Waluigi's not in Smash because he just doesn't want to. It may not be his thing, but I also do think there's so much potential. I mean, it's just like you could just do like a Wacky Races, Dig Dastardly kind of like schemes game. I don't know what it...
Waluigi is a lover, not a fighter, so he'll never be in the Smash Brothers series.
You can summon him and he beats the crap out of you with a tennis racket, so I can't really say for sure what his deal is.
To talk again about Wario Land 3, it has a sort of unique gameplay loop in that I mean, I've called it Metroid-vania. It's Metroid-vania-esque in that there's backtracking and moments when you come to sort of places where you can't progress and you need to upgrade your stuff. I have to admit that this element maybe was too confusing for me as a child, but as an adult, it's so addictive, and is that an element of the game you like too?
It is. I feel like it's such a like unique structure. I also kind of got confused by it as a kid, and it took me quite a while to like get it. I always talk to like the guy in the temple who'll always like tell you a level that you can go to that has something available for you, and kind of design that I'm trying to like incorporate into my game Amazing Treasure Valley that I've been working on for quite some time, about finding treasures that like unlock parts of the world for you. So yeah, it is very Metroid-like, but I feel like a handheld game, and you can save in the middle of the level, and all the levels are like, they're not connected to each other, so you're not having to backtrack as much as you would like normally. Like it'd probably be a lot more like an interconnected map, right? But
yeah, it's feels like that would be where the natural progression of the series would have gone if this was a regular series and they didn't just do weird zags whenever they felt like it.
I like the weird zags.
I do too. So like Wario Land as a whole, the whole sort of series, I know 3 is obviously your favorite, but do you like 4 or 1 and 2?
I think all of the games are their own ways. Like 2 is very similar to 3, but I didn't actually like play it for quite a long time. So it's kind of just like which one I became obsessed with in that way, I think. Although I do think 3 has like maybe a bit more of a unique structure. The first one, it's like a way more normal platformer game, but it has like Wario's sprite in that. His eyes are on like slightly like different levels. He looks kind of insane and amazing. There's like a certain forward momentum to his walk cycle in that game where it's like this guy wants something, he's doing it. It's great. And Wario Land 4 is just amazing looking and sounding. Like the CDs you find in that are like just like fascinating, like weird like art music. It's great. And it's continue it past the one on the Wii, but that one is also like one of the most beautiful games to me.
The Shake Dimension or whatever it's called, or the Shake It.
Shake Dimension is different per region.
Yeah, it's so visually impressive that it's a shame because it's the perfect kind of HD remake thing I would want, but it's so specific towards Wiimotes that it might have to have a whole like, I don't know, might just be lost to time.
I played it on emulator recently, just ripping with like a button, and it's completely playable and fine like that. So,
I might check it out. The Wario Land 3 was a game I loved, and was in a weird sort of way, like at the time on the Game Boy Advance, all the Mario games were these advanced titles. They were just these remakes that I owned already twice because I also had All Stars, and I found them all a little disappointing. And so Wario Land 3 is kind of like the only real Mario platformer on that console it's fun because it like pushes it. It has all that like singing, and the graphics are really gorgeous, and does make me kind of miss that we didn't get a proper Mario Land 3 or 4.
Yeah, I do think about that a lot. I'm for those advanced remakes just because I didn't have an NES or a Super Nintendo, so those are like the first time I ever got, and so I'm very fond of those. I remember going to this like shop in my town where there was like Game Boy Advance before it came out, and just like annoying the clerk in there by playing Mario Advance, like, just there for like an hour at a time, and then not buying it. But I do like those remakes a lot, and I love the weird voice acting in Mario Advance. But
like this is as far as you go.
This is as far as you'll go. Yeah, it's so good. I think all of the bosses had like little voice lines as well that I don't remember as clearly, but there's whether they're good or not, I don't know, but I like them.
Yeah, every so often, just the little sound bite of "I am the Great Wart," ha ha ha, will just like enter my brain, and I have no one to talk to about.
I'm here now. I've played that game a lot. I remember like all of the character voice acting, and so if you play as Toad, every single time you like lift a vegetable, it's like it's great. he's putting his all into that. And sorry for the terrible Toad sound. That's like the cockatoo from Citizen Kane moment of this podcast.
Oh my god. So with Wario Land 3, is there anything you wish the game did differently?
That's a hard question. It probably is, and I'm trying to think about this now. I could have just gone for like more treasures, a perfect amount. I don't really know. I maybe get rid of I was gonna say maybe Wolf, because that's really annoying and stupid to put in the game. But actually, the more I think about it, it's really funny to get rid of the mini golf. I just couldn't figure out how to do it as a kid. So
yeah, it's I was getting into it when playing it this week. I do think it's funny to put in golf in a Wario game.
Mandatory golf.
mandatory golf, but it's not golf. You are assaulting a screaming little creature by
Little Kirby looking
yeah.
guy.
That's what Wario Golf is. It has nothing to do with golf. I would say that some of the moments, I know we like that the game is kind of annoying. We like that the game's in your face. There's like certain moments where I'm like, God, I wish I wasn't on fire again.
Maybe like a way to like, I don't need to be on fire right now. Or maybe just like, I think I would make, what I would change, have like a layer of blocks that gets destroyed when you get sent out of a boss arena, so it doesn't, you have like an extra chance at a boss, maybe. None of the bosses are actually that hard that it really matters. It's one hit and then you have to do a bunch of backtracking is annoying in a way that's like not that fun, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to want to change anything about a game that's every time it's not fun feels completely intentional and is teaching you something. It's like, don't do that again.
Absolutely. Yeah, this game doesn't really teach you that much because sometimes you need to be on fire. So any game like that, I've tried to get my friends to play it, and sometimes people really like it and absolutely bounce off it, and I completely understand why. But you know, I think it's a dear game to me. The chance, I think it's really good.
Hey, look, so Wario Land 3 is on the Switch, Game Boy, Nintendo Classic service, and you can rewind if you make a mistake. So it's probably for all those casuals and for those normies who aren't ready to get good at Wario Land 3, there is an easier version for you out there.
It's weird though. It's weird that the 2 are not on there, and yet the licensed Quest for Camelot game is. Like, what's going on there, Nintendo?
Yeah, the day someone chooses Wario Land 2 to come on this podcast, I'm going to have to do some real digging because I do have quite a few cartridges physically. I might play some games that way.
I have 2 cartridges of Wario Land free for some reason.
Wario Land 1 cartridge in my house was like infamously the problem cartridge. It would like crash half the time and you had to like blow on it a lot to make it work. And I just think that's very appropriate for Wario to be a problem.
That's who he is. That's who he is. I had Wario Land 1, but I played Wario Land 3 first. And then I found Wario Land 1 in like a Woolworths, like after the original Game Boy had stopped being relevant. I have no idea what it was doing on a shelf there. But that's how
I just wanted to give you a final moment to talk about Wario himself and any thoughts and feelings you have for the character.
Wario is a beautiful, what I'll say. I got Mario Kart World recently, and me and my partner spent a really long time with him and looking at him. His new HD rendered body. This is making me sound like a lunatic, but but we did do that. And you had to. He's just so lovingly rendered, and I like his exact personality, and you know, what is there to say about him?
Not to be, you know, the friend who's too woke, but where else do you get a game series with a character with his specific body type? He's
true.
Like, large, in charge, proud of it. I'm not going to say that it's secretly actually really progressive, but I do.
I think there's many cases where they make these kind of characters like one reason or the other, but it does end up looping around because it's like Ursula in The Little Mermaid, right? Because she has so much physicality, and they probably were not designing her with that in mind. But
I have another final question about Wario Land 3. Have you played or know of its real sequel, Dr. Mario 64?
I have. I've never actually played it myself because I'm no good at. I really appreciate that game for some reason just uses the same like characters. I really like it. It's nice to see Rudy the Clown get another shot at being in a game and then forgotten forever.
Yeah, it's like, some people want Wart to come back or Captain Syrup to show up, but until Rudy the Clown is in Mario Kart, I refuse to eat a morsel of food.
I spent so much time in the run up to Mario Kart World thinking that maybe Tatanga was good. So it could happen. Not like he actually did appear, but the Battledons from Mario Land did, so anything can happen.
It's the closest we've ever been, and I'm on the to bring Tatanga back train for sure.
I thought that UFO that you see was gonna like have him in it, but it was not.
Alas.
To be.
Ooh! We are now in the quickfire question round. I'm going to ask you a bunch of quickfire questions and speak as loudly as possible because sometimes StreamYard can't deal with the music. Here we go. So question number one. What transformation would Mario get if he touched you?
He would fall in love with me.
So just like heart eyes floating around, Cupid arrows.
Heart eyes into a bug, probably. I don't know.
I believe you've all basically answered this, but who is your main when it comes to...
It's Wiggler, actually, in Mario Kart.
That makes sense. Two roads diverge in the Yellow Woods, and Wario and Wiggler. Who do you love more? It must be tough.
Wiggler is just more like me.
Which Wario Land 3 level would you live on if you had to?
I think I'm going above the clouds.
Oof, very nice. You scared of heights?
Yes, but I'll get over it. Because the music there's nice.
Which deep cut Mario character do you want added to the spin-off roster?
I want Battle Beetle.
Battle Beetle.
I like these little bugs.
I like to think of, the drawing of Battle Beetle in the instruction booklet, you seeing it, it's kind of like the, moment that most impacted the rest of your life.
It may be.
Speaking of your life, if your life was a Mario Party minigame, what would it entail?
Oh god, I haven't played enough Mario Party to know about this. They'd fall in a... I don't know what could happen. My life's better than that. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
I think it would be there's lots of tracing games and drawing games, so maybe it would be
True.
an actual party game based on creating pixel art. You see a character in pixel form, and then you teach people how to do pixels.
That could work.
That's the more generous version.
Yes.
Great. So thank you for coming on to a Super Mario moment. If you'd like to take a moment to plug yourself, anything you want?
Yeah, I'm Splendidland. You can follow me. I'm on websites. I am sometimes with a dot in between the Splendid and Land, which is also my website.
Look, a lot of people have portfolio websites. You'll have a great half an hour just exploring Splendid.land. It's one of the most beautiful artist websites just visually, and also all the stuff on there is wonderful. Lots of comics to read and a bunch of games that you can play.
Thank you.
I would urge everyone to check out your games. I had such a good time with Formula Star. I'm very excited about what comes next. If people would like to check out anything from me, I'm Hamish Steele everywhere. I have a book out very soon called Go Man Champion of Earth, which I think you'd all enjoy if you like the color and humor of the Mario series. As for a Super Mario moment, we are a proud member of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcasting Collective. I can recommend many of their shows because I've been on many of them. I love Screonk if you like Godzilla. They have a James Bond podcast called The Q Division. All sorts of fun stuff there. And for Super Mario Moment, we are available on all your podcasting apps of choice and on YouTube as a video podcast. And I also have a Patreon, also Hamish Steele, where I upload episodes a little early and give you lots of other extras to do with my comics and this show. Next week, I'm not exactly sure what we're doing because I'm recording a bunch of episodes out of order, but I believe it might be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which has Mario in and Wario. So we'll talk a little bit about Wario's moveset in that because it is controversial, I think. Needs more vampire Wario in his moveset, I believe. Thank you for coming on the show. I'd love to have you back. Maybe I'll reserve Mario Land 2 for you just in case.
Someone else can talk about it, it's fine, but if it has time I come back, I'll talk about it.
Amazing. And yes, thank you all for watching. And until next time, so long, gay Bowsers.